Well, thank you for joining me here today on The Ripple Effect with Ray. Excited to dive into all things NRG Physio. I have Chad here, he's the founder, and excited to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about whether you want to share a day in the life or how and why did you get started with NRG Physio?
Yeah, for sure. So I came up through kind of what most would consider the normal channels. Graduated from school, and not long after, found myself in the corporate setting. I worked a couple of years in Texas, and then we moved up north to Indiana. So I found myself with a larger chain here locally, and I had always kind of done things different, even when I was an intern. I was into studying some different things about movement and mobility that weren't necessarily a part of school, and I was integrating a lot of that in how I would treat patients in the clinic. And so a lot of what I was doing was different. A lot of people noticed it was different for one reason or the other. But it eventually got to the point where, I was seeing anywhere from 2 to 4 patients an hour. A lot of times it was three, a lot of times it was four, most hours of the day, most days of the week. And I just had this sense that I could probably do a better job if I could just have the full hour with just me and whoever the person was in front of me. And so I actually quit my corporate job and took a part-time job working as the on-site physical therapist for a distribution center. So that's kind of my first intro into kind of a facet of healthcare that I didn't really know existed, which was employer-based healthcare. And so I was doing that 20 hours a week. The other 20 hours a week, I was building NRG Physio, kind of just getting started. Didn't really know what I was doing outside of patient care. So we had to learn a lot about marketing and sales and value and differentiation to try to get clients in the door. And that's just kind of where I got my start. I got it in the B2C world for sure, working primarily with CrossFit athletes for about 2 years. It was just easy to market that way. I could walk into the gyms, we could do seminars, and just kind of create some traction that way. But over time, our corporate side really started to develop. We started picking up, a corporate client here, a corporate client there, until eventually it got to the point where I had to choose between one or the other. Either we're going to do the B2C thing, one client at a time, or we're going to do the corporate thing, one business at a time, which gave us access to a lot of people at once. And so just within the last couple of years, have chosen to kind of separate myself from the B2C and go full steam ahead, just working corporate. And that brings us to 2025.
Well, thank you for sharing that and the trajectory. I think it's always interesting to see the twists and turns of entrepreneurship, how you might start a business, however many years ago, and then it evolves. It kind of, you give it its own little entity and you let
Mhm.
it kind of grow like you would, any sort, like it's your business baby essentially, right?
Yeah.
And so as you've transitioned from the B2C space to B2B, what have you noticed? What has been the, like, whether it be the thing that surprised you or what has become in your field of awareness, I guess?
Yeah, probably a couple of things. I had to I had to wrestle like early in the transition, almost with like the regret of not doing it sooner. And so, when I started my business, the intention was to always do corporate because that's what I saw in my other 20 hours a week. And when I saw that, I knew this is the nut that I need to crack. But I also had to figure out, how do I get clients quickly? How do, because I got to pay bills, I got to feed my kids. There were real reasons to make money, and it is, truthfully, it's easier to make money doing B2C. And so I almost got wrapped up just in the B2C for longer than I intended because it was working really well. We ran Facebook ads and Instagram ads very successfully. We had what most would consider a booming practice on the west side of town here. And so the first thing was really, man, it was such a difficult decision to cut that completely because it was fairly successful. But just the long-term vision of, if I'm going to build something for 20 years or 30 years and, pass it down or exit potentially, one was going to be tremendously more valuable than the other. But then I kind of got wrapped up in like, man, I wish I would have done this, 5 years ago instead of now. But what really kind of pulled me through that was I learned so much about the human body working with individuals. And really what I learned starting the B2C cash practice is what allows us to create a different model and a different offer for our corporate groups that if I had not done that, we would not be able to do what we do today because we have a process that can now scale across many, many therapists, many, many locations, and be very, very streamlined in the results that we can get because we can all do something in a very similar way. We don't rob the therapist of the creativity because we love that, but we do have kind of a foundational structure that we can train people on so that results are very consistent across the board, which was one of my kind of big hangups in like insurance-based therapy. Was it's just like any other profession. There are people who are really great at what they do, and there are other people who are not as good. And when somebody comes in looking, with a referral, one of the downsides of the corporate market is that they're just going to get on a random schedule. And they could draw the short end of the stick, or they could, get somebody who's as good as they can possibly be, and you just don't know. And so being able to create a system that gets results that is transferable to other clinicians is probably one of my favorite things about what we're doing because when we work with clients, they love what we're doing and how we do it. And we can go repeat that over and over and over again versus just, oh, you have credentials and you're not so weird that we wouldn't hire you. So come do therapy here. All of our therapy is designed to move the patient and the client in a very specific direction. And so those things came into view pretty quick. Like, man, it was a really painful decision. Our office that we had was just super cool. It was like shiplap and like corrugated metal walls, open, just painted black, industrial ceilings, turf, really nice, like hardwood floors. The gym, it was like a CrossFit gym. It looked like just a it was so cool. And so closing that down, man, it really wore on me there for a while. But it's been the right decision for sure. Working those things, over the years, looking back, I know I couldn't be where we are today doing what we do without that. So it all kind of came full circle.
Well, that's great, and I think, yeah, they always say when one door closes, another door opens, right? As cliche as it sounds. And yeah, exactly when you were describing what it looked like, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of picturing that CrossFit type of gym. But and so what do you think was the big, I mean, you kind of mentioned like just the way you could kind of cater to more
Hmm.
people, more audiences, right, in the B2B space.
Yeah.
What do you think was something that, as you transitioned, what was something, a challenge maybe that came up that you maybe didn't expect, or what was that like?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't even go as far to say as that I didn't expect it. I was probably just ignoring it more than anything because I was through the transition, I was bringing a lot of my B2C background forwards into the B2B. And this is particularly around marketing. So, like the sales cycle for B2C is very short. It was nothing to throw up a Facebook ad, get a bunch of leads, follow up with them according to industry standards, touch points, and call them within the first 5 minutes, and all the things that are well researched and developed in the B2C space. None of that exists for B2B. It's so different. Probably at least at the scale I'm at. There's probably a certain level of scale you get to where some of these things start coming back into play. But, all of my strategies were really digital. And the digital strategy as a brand new, like fresh, green B2B business is not great. And, you know, I quickly realized there's so many people in the market who promise results on digital strategies and they still work. And I don't think it's because they're not good strategies. I just think there's, especially on LinkedIn, there's so much spam going on. It's just very difficult to cut through the noise, really get in front of your prospect, especially when you're coming in cold. And so, I was bringing forwards this mentality of let's put out like a large scale digital strategy and really like put some volume out there. But it wasn't long after many dollars spent that I really just had to get my mind wrapped back around going back to the basics, which is exactly where I started in B2C. Like when you're starting out, there's just no comparison to meeting real people in person. So like going and meeting gym owners, now the play is, I'm going to meet HR professionals and benefits professionals and we're hitting manufacturing events and we're just traveling around and networking. It's it's different, there's not one of those on every corner like I could go drop into a gym. But there was this part of me like where I started and I put all that work in up front for B2C and I kind of got lazy because our digital strategies work so well. And then it was like coming back. I'm essentially starting over and now I have to work really hard again, which it was it's kind of frustrating, but it's exciting at the same time. The post-COVID world, I really love getting out and meeting people because we couldn't do that for a while. And so, that was probably the biggest thing was like, man, I knew that was going to happen. I just really wanted the digital stuff to work and then it just didn't. And so, back, boots on the ground for me. But that's okay because, I'm going to get a lot more quality. I'm certainly going to have less volume, but it'll be a lot more intentional. I'm always a big fan of, meeting people, let people meet me, just because the intentions become clear much faster. You can have a real conversation and it's not necessarily, hi, here's what we do, let's book a sales call. There's definitely a time and place for that, but in person just kind of it lowers the barriers just a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned so many different areas of just the things that we face, in a post-COVID world, also in a just different technologically advanced world
Hmm.
where everyone's pitching you in your LinkedIn inbox and your email inbox, and I can promise you this many leads in this many days, and just it's a lot, especially to just like you said, cut through that some of that noise, and and also just the like how it's so different when you actually meet somebody, you can, see them and touch them,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
whereas like, in an email inbox, you don't have that, you don't have that trust, you don't know who is
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the other side of that email. And so yeah, it is just interesting to navigate the way that the industry is moving and just to be able to, like you said, cut through some of that noise. What would you say has been a big like push for you in the next 6, 12 months, couple years from now?
Yeah. So I'm in this unique place. I mean, obviously, as a business owner and an entrepreneur, I have financial goals. Financial goals are attached to metrics and meeting people. But it's one of those deals now, like even with digital strategies, like you can't break down your sales percentages really, or like how effective your marketing is until you have sale. So it's like this thing where I can't even put metrics together with like, oh, well, for me to get a sale, I need to meet 50 people and I need to get 10 of them on a call because two of them are going to turn into, closed business. We've got enough clients right now where things are going great. We're able to be super creative in how we kind of structure our services inside of their business, which is a lot of fun. I'm not taking that for granted, because I know there's going to come a time where that's going to be more difficult. I'm kind of in this selfish place right now because, like, we just took not our first vacation. I took my first vacation since fully transitioning. And it was like I didn't have to worry about anything, you know. I was just able to be there and have fun. I'm kind of in this selfish position right now where I'm trying to use up the nature of the current season where I have a little more free time. You know what I mean? Like I'm only getting as many meetings as I'm getting. I'm only going to close, a client or two or three at the end of this year, beginning of next year. And those meetings are going to happen organically and they're on the books. It's just a waiting game. And so, I'm playing more golf with dad. And so my big push right now is I'm using the opportunity to do things that I know will probably disappear and I'll regret if I don't do them now. So I'm getting out and playing golf with dad. I won't be able to do that forever. I'm getting out and playing pickleball with mom because I won't be able to do that forever. And I know that probably in the next 12 months, I won't be able to do that. And it's going to be hard to wrestle with that and confront it, but I'm going to hold on to those things as much as I can. And I know there's a trade-off. I could work 80 hours a week and probably build a business bigger, faster. And I did that. I did that with the B2C. So, I'm in a position now where I'm taken care of, my family's taken care of, our clients are well taken care of. And so I might slow down a bit and just build momentum a little slower. If it all stacks on after my kids are out of the house, that would be just as fine. If it stacks in the next 18 months or 2 years, you know what I mean? So through the transition, through the B2C, through the lens of B2B, I'm trying to just be a little more cognizant of, what's going on at home with the kids and the wife and my family versus what's going on with the business. So it's created a little bit of freedom in that way, which I am enjoying, but I also fully anticipate that it won't last forever. So we're just going to take it as it comes. But it's hard as an entrepreneur not to just push, push, push all the time. And so obviously there are big financial goals, big goals for our clients, big ways we want to make a splash in how we structure our services in a way that's drastically different than the next guy. But at the same time, you know, time is moving fast, but we still have plenty to get everything done we want to get done. So I'm trying to I don't like the word balance, but right now I just have the unique opportunity to prioritize things a little differently. I'm ready to prioritize whatever I need to when the time comes. But my push right now is just I'm taking advantage of where we're at. I'm taking the meetings. I'm meeting new people. If it turned into business, great. If it ever gets to be such a big boulder rolling downhill so fast that I can't play pickleball, once a week, I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Absolutely. Well, Chad, thank you so much for sharing that insight and for also providing a real lens on what could happen in entrepreneurship and what, tends to happen, right? As I
Sure.
think so many times we as entrepreneurs, as founders, we can get caught up in the push, 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 workaholic, work 80 hours a week, work 14 plus hours a day, right? But I think it's really important to notice like your intentionality, your values. Right now, it's family, and it's why probably you started a business in the first place to give you that freedom from
Yeah,
the time
100%.
freedom and also be cognizant and aware of like, where you are and what you want to create. So thank you for joining me here today on the Ripple Effect with Ray. Where and how can people find you, work with you?
Yeah, sure. So LinkedIn, I think just search Dr. Chad Allen on LinkedIn and you'll find me there. I try to do my best posting. And it's probably one of my greatest regrets is not posting more. But at the same time, like right now, I want to post enough where if people do go look, they're going to find stuff on musculoskeletal health that's not like 5 years old. It's within the last couple of weeks. I post when I have thoughts. I don't sit around trying to manufacture something I should do. I need to do better at that for sure. But you can find me on LinkedIn there. Drop me a message on LinkedIn. If you don't want to burn an in-mail, if that's how you're going to reach out, don't do that. Save your in-mail for somebody who doesn't give you their email. If you want to email me, Dr. Chad at nrgphysio.co. That's the best place to reach me via email. And I'm open. I'm open for conversation with just about anybody. Obviously, our targets are really manufacturing industry. We've got really great products and services to decrease both health plan claims and work comp claims, primarily for musculoskeletal health. We do have capacity to manage primary care health as well, but MSK is definitely our primary lane where we're trying to get our introductions. So if you're in human resources, looking for something fresh for your employees, helping them feel better, be more productive, not hurt so much, definitely saving money on work comp claims, patients, injections, MRIs, and unnecessary surgeries. That's our game. And so if you want to reach out about that, Dr. Chad at NRGphysio.co is the one.
Amazing. Thank you again, Dr. Chad, and looking forward to hearing what our audience and listeners have to say about today's episode.
Awesome. It's been great being here. Thanks.